Good morning to everybody. Saturday morning, the first Saturday of June. Hope everybody's having a great day. I'm particularly excited. I was just saying as we started this call, this call has been going on for several years, and even though we had a short break, it's been a pretty consistent call. And I was just saying that it was exciting when I used to have 4 or 5 states on, and this morning we have 4 or 5 countries on. I think we had South Africa, Australia, France, Mexico, U.S., and Canada. What an amazing change in what's going on with this company. And for me, I enjoy seeing the ride and seeing things. But this morning we have a special guest, someone that I've really become good friends with over the past several years for multiple reasons. One, they're a part of my team. And I wish I could say that I knew them, but I did not. And that's part of the way this works. Sometimes you introduce to somebody that you don't know, and then they become leaders and friends as we go on. And John and I have a special relationship because we're both Southeastern Conference football fans. He's a big Aggie, Texas A&M, and I'm a big Tennessee Volunteer fan. So we get to play. I think since we've been together, we've had 2 games in football, and we lost one and won one. So I think we've split on that. But at any rate, it's always fun because we get to text about more than just business. We talk about life. And so, but guys, with all that, I really am excited about them being here because they're the perfect example of resilience, focus, and I couldn't be more proud of anybody that's on my team. I mean, I've watched this industry for 23 years, and they've really went through some difficult things, ups and downs, and I hope they're going to talk about that a little bit because I think sometimes in our industry, and we have to talk about successes. I mean, that's what we do. We want people to know, but we never talk about the resilience and the things that people have to realize that you deal with in real business. And that's why I think part of the things that's helped me is that I've dealt with being a business owner for so long, and they too have been business owners for a long time. But John had a career in the television world. So I just want you to know that this morning is going to be a special call about listening to and they're going to give us some nuggets. But before we start with what they do and what they've succeeded, I want you to know their background. John and Kristi are from Omaha, Nebraska. And I've been to their home. Well, I think they've moved since I was there. I actually spent the night in their home before, but I think they sold that house and moved to a new home since I was there. But at any rate, with that, I want to introduce you John and Kristi Oakey. They've just been someone who I have so much respect for because they went through some difficult things and had some great things going, and it went backwards and it went forwards. And so they've dealt with adversity. And if you're going to become really good at any business, and sometimes we say, well, this business, no, business. I think Kristi can attest to that. All business has ups and downs. And this business is no different. I mean, they're going to have those. So with that, and I don't know how to highlight. So John, can you switch it to highlight for me so you can highlight the speaker? Because I want you guys to be on the screen. John and Kristi Oakey, I just want you to tell them a little bit about your background before we talk about nuggets. I mean, Kristi, business owner. John I call it the anchor man. Is that the right word for it?
I was.
Anchorman for ABC. It was ABC affiliate, right? In there. And so he's that guy that you saw on the morning news every day. I mean, I can't imagine his schedule. That to me was like, when I didn't know it for several years, I'm like, you do what every day? And people want to tell me this business is hard. Trust me, I have never gotten up at 3 a.m. to go to work or 2 a.m., whatever time you did it. So y'all tell us
that was the hardest part. That was the
Yeah.
hardest part about his job. Yeah, definitely.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, first of all, Chris, thanks so much for letting us have on. I mean, we've known Chris for over 11 years now. He's always been there for us. I mean,
Always.
technically, right now, he is our sponsor,
Upline.
our upline, because the two sponsors between us and him have kind of just one quit, the other two are just taking checks, I guess. So
Yeah.
so Chris is technically our upline who's active. So we appreciate him. He's always been there for us, and we just appreciate his leadership. And he's made trips out here to help our team. So we just appreciate you. But yeah, I had a 32 plus year career in TV sports and news. I was first in College Station, Texas, Giga Maggie's in sports. Then we moved to Omaha almost 30 years ago, which is still shocking to me when I say that, to cover the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Go Big Red, back when they actually were good in football. And then after a few years, with that schedule, it was working nights and weekends, and our 2 boys were pretty active. And so I was missing out on a lot of their things. So I had the opportunity to go to the morning news and be the morning news anchor. That meant lack of sleep, but it also meant that I'd be there for my kids' stuff in the evening. So I made that change, and I did early morning news at our ABC affiliate here for 21 years. Woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning for 21 years. And it was hard. It was rough. Very not much sleep. It was pretty rough. And Kristi owns a home healthcare business, taking care of seniors. She's got 40, 50 employees. So she's got a lot going on with that. Then right before we found this company,
We did a wild, crazy
we
thing.
adopted 4 kids. So we were doing foster because we have 2 older boys. We always felt we were missing a girl in our family. We said, let's try foster to see what this would go.
Well, we had gone the adoption route
Yeah.
and it just wasn't working. Yeah.
So let's try foster, see if this is what we really want to do. Because our boys were like 16 and 14. So we're almost seeing empty nesters, coming. We're almost there. So let's try this, see how this foster thing goes. So we fostered one girl, and then we just got the mom who just kept having babies, and we just kept saying yes. And so it was a long process. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to go through the full details. I'll share all the details of the journey.
We could write a book.
But it was a couple year journey of ups and downs, emotional roller coaster. And eventually in 2013, in December 2013, we officially adopted the 4 of them. They're all same mom. So they're 5, 4, 3, and 1. And so it was a lot. And then we had already planned to go on a cruise before.
Like a month later, we were going on a cruise.
Before this officially happened.
When they come up for adoption and parents lose their rights, it happens very quick.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, adoption's open, and so it was December 23rd. We were leaving January 19th or something like that. Yeah, on a cruise.
Yeah. So we go on this cruise, and we end up finding and meeting some 3 ladies who were a part of the previous company, but they were there because of the drops, the skinny drops, the slenderized drops. It was an incentive trip on a cruise, and we met them. Did not know that until like day 5 or 6.
I believe it was the company's very first incentive trip. I mean, there was like 60 families. Might have been one before. I think the company had been in place for a year and a half or 2 years. And so the drops have been around really for 13 years, maybe. So yeah, they had taken all these people on an incentive cruise, and we just happened to be dancing on the dance floor with some ladies from the company.
So we found out about the product. We were fluffy. We needed to lose weight, and we got on the product, started sharing, and just our business took off. But in the meantime, while our business took off, you have to remember, I'm doing early morning news, right? So Kristi's a single mom in the morning with four little kids, because I'm gone at 2 in the morning.
Teenagers.
And she has her business, and so she's dealing with that and all stuff. So it was a lot.
We had
It was a lot.
when people say, I don't have time for this,
Yeah.
I don't feel one bit sorry
I
for
don't either.
you guys, because if I can do this, anybody can do this. My husband was gone every morning. I was getting a 5, a 4, a 3, and a 1-year-old ready in the car, 4 car seats, and then dealing with teenagers. Okay, because I had 2 teenage boys. So I know what and then also the phone going off every 5 minutes because of my employees, whatever their problem is. Because when you have employees, you have a lot of problems you're dealing with constantly. So when I hear people say, I don't have time, you can make time. People make time for what they want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the honest truth. It means if people say they don't have time, it's because they don't want to have time. They don't want to. But the thing is if you can carve out some time, you can grow this.
Yeah. And Chris, I was a traditional, you go to college, figure out your career, you do your career for 40 years, and then you retire and do that. I mean, that's how I was brought up. And I did my career for 32 years, right? So I just thought that was what you do. And it truly wasn't because I was on TV, people would approach me about stuff, but she's the salesperson. I'm not. This is kind of going out. That's just not me. I might have the personality to talk to people, but to do all that, that's not me.
He's actually
I'm kind of an introvert. Actually, I'll be an extrovert when I have to be, but I'm truly an introvert. And so this was new for us, but we just saw it, and the products were working, and we loved the products, and so it was easy to share. So our business took off fast. I mean, we got to a really good start.
Let me get back here. My husband was not for this, and I was not going to do this.
No.
Remember, we had no time.
I just need to lose weight.
I had the idea that this was going to actually work for us, and I was really unhealthy. I was very unhealthy. John was fluffy. I was fluffy and unhealthy. Anyway, but on day 3, I realized that this was something that was going to make me feel better, because I hadn't woken up feeling good in a long time. And on day 3, I was like, this is what she's talking about. You know, the person who signed us up, she's like, yeah, you'll notice pretty quickly. And I will tell you, within a week, with my excitement, I had no plans of starting a business. I went to the office and the girls at the office were like, what's your deal? You know, I was just in such a great, it makes you happier. It makes you like, it just makes you like people want to be around you, right? And so we all decided to do a weight loss thing at the office. Some of them bought, and a week later, John says, "Hey, that company paid us over, I don't know if I can say how much it was.
That's
It
over
was
$1,000.
it was over $1,000 my first week. And I didn't even know this is. I mean, I was just didn't even realize what we'd gotten ourselves into. And so John's like, that company put money in our account. Do you want to call them and tell them they screwed up? And I'm like, he goes, I know we spent a lot of money to get our stuff. And I literally called the company and I said, hey, I think we have a problem. I bought product from you and you guys are putting money back into my account. And I think we messed up here. And he goes, it was over $1,000. And he goes like, no, you told some people and they bought and we're paying you because you referred the products. And I'm like, oh, and he goes, and next week you have like almost $600 already coming to you. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, and I didn't hardly do anything. Imagine if I put some grease on this, you know? So I was just like, what could we do? And John's ears, as soon as he
Well,
heard
as soon as I said we made money, I was like,
he's like,
hmm,
they call
maybe
make
it's something we can
the
do.
dog with his ears perked up. And I said, he goes, you can make money at this? And I go, yeah, apparently. And he goes, Kristi, you told 6 people.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I know. And he is like, well, maybe we should look into this. Well, he still could not have anything. Sorry, I have something in my eye. He still cannot do uh his TV career does not allow him to promote.
Yeah, I
He
can't
can't do
promote stuff.
anything
I
like
can't put
that.
anything
So
together myself.
his name wasn't on the account. It was just me, and I rolled with it. And he was just supportive with the children. If I needed anything,
Behind the
John's
scenes.
always very helpful to me. So I just started growing it. I just started busting it. John was always there. John was helping with the technical stuff and behind the scenes, and that's what we did. And I had no idea what we stepped into.
Yeah.
And the owner of the company at that time called because I guess we were doing really good because he called and he said, congratulations. He goes, we're having a convention. I'm like, yeah, I heard about that. And he was like, we're going to be in Vegas. We'd like for you to talk. I'm like, talk about what? And he goes, the compensation plan. I'm like, I don't even
I don't
get the
remember the compensation.
compensation plan. I don't even understand it. And he laughed. He goes, that is what's so beautiful. You did not let this stop you because you didn't know everything. And I think people can just overanalyze everything way too much and then just not get busy because they got to have the answer for everything. They got to know. And so the thing is that you got to know the products are good. You got to share them. That's
It's the
basically.
training.
Hey, and real fast too, not real fast, but first of all, shout out to Marla Finn. Marla Finn was
One of our
still
dance
here. She's one of
partners.
our dance buddies.
She's still here.
She's still here. The other two,
Gone.
anyway, shout out to Marla Finn. So the thing about this too, guys, think about this. So back then we did not have the system of growth. All right.
No.
We were selling packs. So you were selling $300-$400 packs, right, to people. And it's like you talking to people and you had to go out to people. So we didn't have the system of growth. So we're doing everything just organically. We didn't have a team. We didn't bring people over. We're just talking and sharing to people.
We didn't know how to
right?
build. We didn't know
No.
anything. I would go, we were, what is this? There's a saying. Anyway, we just liked it. We
Mhm.
just liked it.
Ignorance on fire is what I
There we
call
go.
it.
That's one. Ignorance on fire.
No,
And
it's
so
okay.
we were excited and we met Chris right away, pretty much right away, because Chris is the upline of our upline. And they were super close. So she got us involved with Chris in the very beginning. And we met Todd pretty soon after that. It was a much smaller company, you guys, but we really did not have any tools. We were like
We had
pioneers
no tools.
crossing
We would
the
use
plains.
Chris and our upline did a video, and we just used that a lot.
I used that little video so much, and it was so unprofessional, but
Oh,
it
terrible.
it doesn't
It was
it
terrible.
doesn't even matter. The thing is that if the products work and you have passion
Mhm.
and you can talk to people, you can do this business.
Yeah. So you said we got off, so we started doing pretty good. We started getting people signed up. People were joining us. Our team was growing. And then guess what, guys? Life happens.
Yep.
So life happened to a lot of people on our team, and some people who were bigger on our team were really doing
That we're
well.
growing.
Life happened, and things fell off, and
Yeah,
then
we got strokes, we got divorces,
divorces.
we got everybody at my office being rebellistic because the boss is out having fun and they don't want to work anymore. So the cat's away, the mice will play. I mean, we had everything just started falling apart.
Yeah.
Just falling apart.
So we went through a few years there where it was just like, I mean, it died off. I mean, it was horrible. It was bad. And we were at a point where like, are we going to do this? We love the products, but are we going to just keep doing this and putting the effort in, But we have a thing where we say that Oakeys don't quit. And what would we tell people who believed in us and followed us and said, yes, I want to do this because you believed in this. And I'm going to say, sorry, this is getting too hard for us. So we'd gone to a network marketing event, not associated with this company. And it really just reunited our fire in this industry, in this business. And we said, let's do it. Let's get going. And so we started building again. And things were going great. And we're building up
now
again.
There was like commitment.
Yeah.
Because before, I think when you start your business, you're like, I can do this or not. I can put my toe in or not. There was always like, hey, I can always get out of this, And I want you guys to know, don't stay there. Be fed by others, because I didn't want to go to that network marketing event. It was in Vegas. It was for a big network marketing person. Like, it's for all network marketers. Some of our people were there from our company. And I remember John said, let's go. Let's just go. The tickets were expensive. Let's go. We'll go for a little way, get away. And we went to that, and it fed us. You will never forget the moment when you decide that, hey, I'm going to do this. And I remember we went back to that hotel and we just got busy on our phones, doing all things, setting up a plan, we were going to rechange things. And then we signed up to do this recruit 30 in 30 days. And we recruited 32 people in 30 days when we did that. And that's when we you know what? We had intention. Yeah. That is the word. We had intention. We decided, and we weren't going to let obstacles get in our path. We'd heard from everybody in the world about the obstacles. We're all people. We all are on a journey, and we weren't just going to let that get in the way anymore. And so one thing, we were going to be engaged. We were going to be on every meeting that we could. We were raising a small family, you guys, a young family, not small, but a young family. And we were going to go to events. From the very beginning, Chris, Todd, Woodson was our upline. They were like, leaders are made at events. We will go to the events. And no matter what we did, I didn't put those things off, and I took them very seriously. And I didn't let other things get in the way of those events, because you can let other things just totally get in your way. And I was just like, if this is a business that I'm going to make a plan with, you got to be in 100%. And I will tell you at the very beginning, my upline, and I really loved her, but she told me in the very beginning, she said, write 3 goals down. What are 3 goals? Give me a goal. I'm like, okay, I'd like to have extra money to travel, because John and I love to travel. Okay, what's your second goal? Well, I want to be able to provide for the kids. This is one of the other goals. I want to make sure that they can get in all their activities and get, I had 3 girls now. I'd never raised girls, and I had another boy. So I was like, I want to get them whatever they need. I want to dress them so cute. I want to have all the extra money to get them in, get all the kids into activities and not let it hurt our normal budget. Okay. I need a big goal. What's a big goal? I wrote it down, and I said, I'd like to retire my husband from his job. And I wrote it down. I'm going to get a little bit tearful. But to see your husband get up every morning, 2:00 in the morning, rain, shine, blizzard, I watched him walk down that hill one time. His car got stuck. Well, he walked up the hill. He's in a suit. He's down the hill at the stop sign. When you're a news anchor, you can't call in, you guys. You cannot call in. Someone like, oh, it's not a good day. It's raining. It's whatever. No. Oh, I have a headache. No, you go in. And so I watched him get stuck. He came up the hill. Then he calls the office, and he says, hey, can you guys pick me out on the street? I'll walk to the street if you can get me a car over here. That is the man I married. He does what he says and he's very reliable. And so, but to do 2 o'clock in the morning for 21 years, it will kill you. Your body needs sleep. And I was working my ass off. Sorry for the cussing. I was working my butt off, and he was too, raising the 4 kids, going through crazy things. For what? So that when we retire, he dies? No, that's not the way I want to do things. So the goal was if I could make enough money and I was going to work my butt off for it, I was going to retire him because whatever he does in retirement was going to be to help me anyway, right? And boy, it came true. Might have took a while, might have had a lot of ups and downs, wasn't as quick as others on here because we have a lot of distractions, but we didn't give up. And so 2 years ago, because of this system, I retired my husband. He juices me lemon juice every morning. he he gets my calendar ready. He is the back
I'm the director of
he's
operations.
the director of operations in our business. And some of you who are
That's great.
single on here or don't have a person helping you, it doesn't matter. You can still do it. You can still do it. I don't want to hear like, oh, I wish I had a John. No, you know what? The thing is that if you have drive, you can get there and you can hire a John. Okay. So, but the thing is we do work together. We're together 24/7 and we love each other. We really love this business together and we're here to inspire all of you. But if you don't take the steps, you will never get there.
Yeah. So the there's someplace I was going to go with this, and I just kind of
Let me mention something that y'all just said that was so important. And I hope everybody took it down. When people tell me they're too busy, I want to reiterate that because I don't know of anybody that's in my business that can say they're busy as you guys were. They can claim they're busy. I hear people talk about busy, and those are the same people that are watching reruns of Andy Griffith Show. The bottom line is that they think they're busy, and there is some that are really busy, but how many people do you know that are getting up at 2 a.m.? I mean, Kristi didn't know what it was like to have breakfast with John for over 20 years.
21 years, I never woke up with my husband. All the women, I wake up with your husband every morning. I'm like, well, I'm glad somebody does because I don't. And to go to bed with my husband, I never went to bed with my husband except for Saturday and Sunday. Well, not really, just Friday and Saturday nights. I went to bed because he didn't work on the weekend. So you guys, when you wake up with your spouse every morning, how wonderful. I was like, I don't even know what that is, or to have help in the morning, or just to go to bed at night, or it was always on a time schedule. I have to go to bed at this time. I have to do this. We were always rushing because of the job. The job owned us. And some people don't know how to get out of the job. And he loved his job. You loved it.
I did. I know what I was going to say. So I saw it in the chat real fast. So someone asked what company were we with before? We were with the original company. So before Partner Co., the company was called RX. So the drops, all the Nutrify line, the MOA, that all came with the initial company that Chris signed up with 13 years ago when it first started. We joined 11 years ago when it first started. So that was the products. And then the company evolved and changed and it became a different company. And then eventually a little over 2 years ago, we became Partner Co. So we've been with these products, the main core products, since the very beginning. Now, what happened was, the big plan was, so finally, behind the scenes, I was still kind of helping out the best I could. Again, I couldn't put it on my page, but I could put it on my personal page, or I could just put out little teasers like on my professional page, like, I'm down 20 pounds, right? Just little things like that.
Yeah.
So then I could just message, what's going on. So 2 years ago, the plan was I'm retiring because I'm just done, and I'm going to focus on the business. Well, right at that exact same time,
the saga continued, ups and downs, peaks and valleys.
We had some issues with our previous company, and there was a buyout. Stuff happened, and so for 6 months, we were kind of in limbo about what are we going to do. I'm like, are we going to keep doing this? The products are still there. Some of the people we loved and trusted are no longer there. But what are we going to do? Todd and Chris and Ken, they're calling us and hey, you guys, I think that this is going to be good. I think everything's going to be good. I'm like, oh, I don't know. And so there was an event in Destin that Todd has every year. And Kristi had been going. I was just staying home.
Negative.
Yeah. So she says, I'm going to stay back. You go. Because at that time, our new owner, Darren Zobrist, was going to be there. And I knew John Wadsworth just a little bit, but not really. And so I'm going to go and so I can meet Darren. So I go to the event, got to have dinner with Darren, talked to him. I said, wow, this guy,
He calls me, he's like, he's
he's
the
like
real
the
deal.
real deal. I mean, he is, I mean, genuine from the heart, compassionate businessman. I mean, knows business, has had success in business, not this industry, just business, right? So I come back and at this time we're hearing about these girls in the Panhandle who are just selling drops like it's nobody's business, right? They're just selling drops like crazy. I'm like, what is going on? So we come back. There's a group of us that had gone down from our team, and we're trying to tell Kristi what's going on. She's like, what? And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, all these girls who are selling all these drops, I mean, they're like attractive. Am I gonna be able to sell boxes of drops? I don't think so. So I'm like, I don't know about
We'd
this.
never done business like that, you guys. We did not have the drop thing. We just like, hey, you want a pack of really good stuff? Try this pack.
So it took a little bit, and it took a little bit to convince her. Finally, that summer, some of our team said, I think we're going to try this and just start posting just about the drops themselves. So they started doing it. We were actually in Switzerland, and we said, well, we'll post a little bit more about it too. We sold like 7 boxes on Smart
They're
Links.
texting us. They're like, we sold a box. We sold a box. I'm like,
maybe this is something.
Maybe I'll post.
And Todd has his IPA call. There's like 20 people on there. And I got
like 7.
I got on one time. I was like, I don't know about this. And so finally we get back from our thing. It's like the end of July, and they just started the system of growth. And we're like, okay, let's try this. What's the worst can happen? Let's just try this, see what happens. Because we were stuck, did things a certain way. Let's try this new system. Oh my gosh. I wish we had the system of growth 11 years ago.
800 drops in 8 months.
I'd be a millionaire.
We sold.
I'd be a millionaire. And but because of the system growth, I made it my salary in 8 months.
Like 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah,
I made it my salary. So the system of growth, guys, those who just got in recently or last year, you are so lucky. This system of growth is outstanding. It's changed our business. It's changed everything. But it was just that persistent, because we knew even that during that time of uncertainty, we just knew we loved the product so much. The products were still the same. The comp plan was still the same. We just had different people.
We have to have a system. And then the company, oh my gosh, let's just not like the company was night and day difference of change. Not bad change, but like everything we had requested for our previous company to get accomplished, back office, marketing, it started evolving. And it was like we turned into this butterfly. And we're telling you all this because you guys, we had so many reasons to quit, so many reasons. Oh my gosh. I mean, employees could by
the way, she still owns her company. She still owns her company. She still has employees.
Like for 2 weeks, literally almost retired. Okay. And I can't believe this is happening. But the thing is we had every reason to quit. And in fact, Chris Doyle told us, I thought you were going to quit.
Many times.
He said, I don't know.
Many times.
And he knew some of our stuff that was going on, but we didn't. We were consistent, resilient. We were resilient, and we just stayed the course. And when everybody had left us, we still stayed the course, because why did we join this business? Did we join it for our upline? When I lost our upline, I talked to her every day for 2.5 years, and then all of a sudden never talked to her again. Do you know how that hurts? It makes me think like, is this how people are in this kind of world? Because when I make a friend, I make a friend. I make a friend for life. And so to not have, but everybody, I'm not mad at her. The thing is that
she had some life stuff
and she has life things, and that's how she handled it. That's how she handled it. But the thing is then the next upline, not available. We have no one who dotes on us. Okay. All of you guys out there who have an upline that's just like, you guys are awesome, this and that. We don't really, sorry, Chris. But the thing is that, we don't, he's a man. Okay. But we don't have that constant, that guidance. We're reaching out to all of these people cross line, and thank goodness Partner Co blurs the lines, because we don't know what we would do without all of the people around us.
Kristen says he doesn't dote on her either.
But see, and then Chris got a little sick, and we didn't want to beg him. So literally we were just like, okay, we just got to do this. So I don't want to hear your excuses, people. We got them.
Yeah, we have something that's so great here. I mean, truly. And I am so grateful that we stuck it out, because we could have easily just gone on, done something else, figured something else out. But we just loved the products so much. We said, this this has got to be it, right? I don't want to go to another company. I'm not going to jump to different places. I just believed in what we had in our products, and I'm just grateful for that resilience. I'm grateful that we just stuck with it because it has been a game changer for us. Is it still crazy in our life? Yes. Kristi has her business. Our kids have issues, not their fault, right? I mean, they DNA they came with, right? So they've got issues. So we are dealing with stuff on a daily basis with our kids. It's very quiet right here in our house because three of our
They're at
girls
camp.
are at camp and they get back later today. It's just our son here right now.
But there's a lot of turmoil in our
A lot
home
of stuff going
that
on
is
we're dealing
difficult.
with on a daily basis. So we're dealing with that. We're dealing with the business. So a lot's going on, but we just have our why, I guess. It's what we're trying to accomplish, trying to help the kids overcome, stuff that's not necessarily their fault. Help give them experiences and just help our team reach their goals. And that's what I think keep thinking back about. If we would have quit, all these new people that have joined our team, I mean, we wouldn't know them, we wouldn't have the friendships, we wouldn't be helping change their
Because you
lives,
become
financial
so
and
close to your
yeah.
people, and they become your best friends.
Mm-hmm.
We love our
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
I want to add something to what you said because you really the word discipline is the key here. I mean, Kristen and I actually were talking. I saw her popping up in the chat, giving us a hard time about me not bragging on her either. But discipline, because we were talking about the gym. Obviously, I'm not in shape, and Kristen's an extremist. But the point I make is when you decide you're going to do something, this is what y'all decided. We made a commitment. And some people join our business, and then sometimes the business gets into you. And I think what you just kind of went through was that there was a day when it changed, and that was probably when y'all went to the Las Vegas. That's why we talk about events so important. And we think people think we're trying to sell event tickets. I don't get any commission on event tickets. The event is for you to get yourself in what they just said, in that commitment mode, so you can believe. And I can still remember my very first event in this industry. Nashville, Tennessee, couldn't afford to be there. I was bankrupt from losing my business, and I was in Nashville. I sat on the back row, and I'm like, wow, this is real. These people are not smarter than me. I don't have a good education, but I believe that I can do something here. And that's really so we always talk about events for that reason, but the nugget we get there is you made a commitment and you remembered your why. And I saw your tears. I don't know if they noticed. I saw some tears in your eyes when you saw John was able to stop that 2 o'clock in the morning. The point is that when you make a decision to do something, if you write it down, that why, and you can rely on that, big things happen because you don't think about what somebody else is doing. Guys, they didn't go into a lot of detail, but when I say they had good reasons to quit, they had some great people that left because of things beyond their control. It wasn't because it was the things that the company went through, but they believed in the products, and then they believed in themselves. And that's really what I want you to really, and so they knew that this industry and this business could take them to the next level. And I want to add something because we saw a lot of people in the chat saying, thanks for clarifying. There's a lot of companies here that we talked about. And Noni has been around 20 something years. So when people say, I hate network marketing quotes because I just don't like a lot of companies, but we are truly a unicorn type company. Whether I didn't want to say that. And I said, I'm not going to say that, but I finally realized we are. Because when you realize Noni, Limu, Usirity, we could do this company has a group of leaders that are different. And I don't mean that in any rude to any other companies, great companies besides us out there. There really is. And good people in those other companies. But when you got a special company that can go long term, absolutely can go long term, that's what you want to look for. And he mentioned Darren and he mentioned John. We have a unique company. We have an owner. That's what really separates us. But back to what y'all talked about, I want y'all to talk about what's nuggets. I mean, what do you tell a new person right now? Let's say somebody that's on this call today has been here less than 60 days. What would you tell them? What do you train a new person? Or if they've just got somebody, what do you teach them to teach their team? What do we do to get started?
Get on the system of growth. Post 9 and 3. That's the first thing. You've got to start posting 9 and 3, guys. Well, again, when I say we had nothing, we had no system. It was like, what do we do? Go talk to people, find people. I mean, that's what we would do in the early days. We would just, find.
And
you got to do the 9 and 3.
Just being consistent and being committed to what you were doing, and knowing that sometimes when you have, like, we immediately started having like teaching things at my office. I had this nice conference room at my office at that time, and we would just bring in people, and then we would tell those people to bring in people, and so on. And that's what we did every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I mean, for 11 years, we've always had Tuesday nights blocked out for business. Okay. And then, so we were very consistent in having that. But I'm going to just tell you one of the things, and you learn so many valuable lessons in this business. And I think everybody should be part of a networking, network marketing, especially ours, because the culture is so different. But you learn confidence, you learn mindset, you learn how to be humble, you learn how to accept people where they're at, there's so many valuable lessons you learn just to be a better person in this business. But I think the biggest thing is like in the beginning, because I'm a business owner. I go for it. I excel. I've always been like that. And before I owned my own company, I was always like given certain strategies, and I always went for the carrot, and I always got it. And that was just the way it was. Okay. Now, when I started this, I was a little embarrassed because it was network marketing. In fact, I was a lot. I was like in the closet. Okay. And so, and Chris was like this too. But and I remember one of the leaders of the company put me on the phone with Tim Sales from the very beginning, and he had a talk with me about not being embarrassed about a viable business like this. And I appreciate his wise wisdom. But I remember on the phone, I go, so what's the ticket? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what is the I almost thought of it like it as a math problem. I wasn't even good at math, but anything that like there has to be a formula. What's the formula to get to where you're at? Because I need the formula because there's like a big secret out there, right? And I remember he's just like, what do you mean? There's no formula. You work hard. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, you work hard, you be coachable. I'm like, oh, okay. So basically, that was the thing. I always thought I excel at everything I do in my business life, and I would just excel in doing this, but I needed a formula to do. There was no formula. I just had to try things to see if it worked. Okay, that didn't work. Let's readjust. So that's when we started doing the weekly meetings. Then we adjusted, but there is no special formula, you guys. There's no secret book. There's no secret handshake. There's nothing. You have to go out and you have to want it and you have to work, but be coachable. Stop trying to I have people that have been in my business over 11 years that want to reinvent the wheel. They want to do it their way. And I understand because I am like kind of like that. All right. And so here I am, I'm reinventing when really it's just like hard work and being ethical and just going out and pursuing and doing hard work. And you're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot, but that's where you get stronger, right? So you got to be coachable and stop getting stuck on, I got to know this in the back office and I got to go do this and I got to be superior about reports and this. Oh my gosh, if you guys saw how disorganized I was, you don't have to be. You just have to go and open your mouth and talk. So be coachable and stop and listen to they want the best for you. There is no reason sorry, I get going here. There is no reason for you to fail if you are working. Trust me, the good Lord will watch your hard work and you will benefit, but it will come with time. And all of these things, we didn't become CEO overnight. It took years. Some people are making CEO so quick now because they have better tools and better things to go with. We didn't have that. We were the pioneers, plugging. And so the thing is that people could get stuck on that. And I know John says it took us forever, and I don't.
Because it did.
It did, but the thing. But the thing is because of perseverance. But we worked full-time jobs. We're raising a family. Whatever,
Yeah, we were part-time for a long
we
time.
still did it. We still showed up on Chris's call every year until he got a little sick. He couldn't do his calls. We were there every Saturday, no matter what, we made time. I know people are like, oh, it's not more important than your family. No, we're not saying that. But if people have to be at work for a meeting or they're going to get fired, they're going to show up for their meeting, right? How come you get a choice here? You don't have to show up. You got to do your job, right, Chris? I mean,
absolutely. I think the thing that there's so many nuggets you just went through. So, and I almost interrupted, but I don't want to, because I want to
no, go ahead.
One of the things that you said that people need to hear that I've said so much is that, guys, be coachable and don't try to reinvent the wheel. You think when somebody's got more talent, they think that they got to do it their way. And if there's one thing that you guys said that we got to really, especially, we didn't have a system. No. I mean, they talked about packs. We were trying to hone into something that was duplicatable.
which was
We
not.
didn't have it. I mean, it's not that we didn't have good leaders here. There was great, I mean, there's no question some of the people that came over, we were looking for that duplicatable program, and we didn't have it. And this system of growth, and by the way, I'll be the first to admit, I'm not, no, we can't. I mean, by the way, I love the drops and I lost weight with the drops and they made a difference in my life. But I didn't think I never dreamed that the drops would be what they are. Even John Wadsworth, I was on a call with him last night and we were talking about some other things we're trying to work out. And he's like, would you ever thought the drops? I said, I did. But here's the point, it working. And so if you don't understand what the drops are for, it's like the funnel system. It is funneling in people to look at your business and the products work. They may never become a rep, but they're still the system for prospecting. They're getting people to look at what we have. But what Kristi said was, don't reinvent the wheel. When people want to do it their way, I get so frustrated. I'm like, maybe in the past, it wouldn't have mattered so much because I didn't know that my way was great. But what we've got put in place now, I'm watching people grow, and we've seen people hit title advancements that are frustrating. I know that it had to be for you guys. Because but I went through that with my previous company when I was like, I had somebody do that same thing. I'm like, but it wasn't that we weren't good, it's that we didn't have a system. And then when the duplicatable system came, so if you want to reinvent the wheel, you can do good, but your team can't do it because some people are just better than others. But when it comes to the system of growth, everyone can plug in, and that makes your team grow. And that's what you got to have. If you're not just how good are you, how good can your team? Because if you're going to make money here, you got to have a lot of people making some money. They don't have to have the same goal. My goals are different than anybody's on here. We all have, it might have changed. They all change. But we all have to realize that everybody's at a different place. But the system of growth, if they will use it the way it's taught, it's not overwhelming. You'll be busy, but you'll make great money. And if you want to build a full-time income, teach your team to use that system. But so many people, like you said, want to do it yourself. I'm sorry, I just had to reiterate that.
Yeah, because it is. Sorry,
yeah, I was so because so it goes back to being duplicatable, right? That was the key. That was the missing key because in the early days, when we have our meetings, we would talk about every single product, and we would have our upline Skype in. We never Zoom. It's Skype in. And we would go over every product and talk about
like a year. I didn't even
until she got strong and knew about it, right? So everyone's like, well, boy, I've got to be like an expert. I know all these products because that's what you had to do. And so it was not duplicatable. Guys, we have so many tools now. We have the SOG. We have all these PDFs in our back office. So if someone wants to know about Tahisha Noni or the optimals, you can send them a PDF. We've got trainings. I mean, Kristen just the other morning did one on the optimals, and I think it was Rejuvenex and one other product, I think. So we're doing trainings, so you can send out quick little videos because you don't need to be the expert anymore. And that was the most frustrating part about duplicatable. Yes. Kristi would know everything, but then trying to get our team to be able to not have to rely on her. It was hard.
I think, and I just saw Kristen say, and they're recorded and you can share them, right. And they're just, it's so great because here's the thing. Imagine coming into a room where you're meeting with us and we're talking about 6 products and I have to go through each product and what they do.
More than 6.
And it could be like, I think we would do in like the clinical pack or whatever. That's how we sold things. And I would tell you about each product and what they did and how it would help you and blah, blah, blah. And that's what I did every time. And I do know the products. Okay. I was very lucky to learn who I learned from. But the thing is that is that duplicatable? First of all, you got a lot of people like, there's no way I can't say that. I don't even know that. How much they're all writing notes. They're all, constantly, they don't know the products, and trying to get that repetitive and duplicatable down the line was impossible. And I didn't even understand because I was new to this type of business when everybody was like, we need a system. I'm like, I don't even know what a system is. Okay, we need a system, but I don't even know what it is.
You'll be sending Kristi out and she tells you everything. Yeah. That's her system.
So, and when this system came in, I did have doubts. I mean, Chris was like that. I called Chris, and our upline, the one that we had been under since our second upline, was not going to do the system. And so I was like, well, where do we go from here? So I called Chris and Todd, and we get on a call, and Todd tells me, you got to dummy it down. I'm like, what? He's like, you got to shut up. You got to not say about all the products because you've been around and you know what all the products do on the weight loss program. You know how they help, but we are only talking about drops. And I was like,
I don't know
Okay.
if I can do
I
that.
don't know if I can do that. I've been doing it for how many years? I mean, 8 years I've been doing it this way, so we can change, you guys. We can evolve. And I do. I dummy it out. I will just send out that information, or I tell you about the drops and I send out the information. And if they don't get back to me, I'm like, I'm not chasing them. I'll check in after a little while. If they don't get back to me, then I'll say, hey, did you get a chance to look at that? And then I move on to my next person. If they don't buy, they will come around. They will come back, and they have. But just keep going, move on.
That's the key to everything you just said is a commitment level, but it's also that could keep going. Everybody's not going to join your business. And as a matter of fact, they can't. We need people to do other things. This world has to operate. Not everybody's going to do this. So, but this system of growth has allowed people that are looking for what we are offering. So don't get frustrated when not everybody joins your team. Some people are just going to be a customer. That's okay. But things change in their life. What do I mean by that? Situations change. Like she said, real life. It's not their sponsor had real life problems, things that happened. Then she got unfocused and some things happened. It's okay. Those things happen. But those who want to make a huge change and really want to do something, I think that one of the more important things you said is you want to leave something for your kids. You want to do something for them. It's obvious you guys are not struggling financially. I mean, we get people on here. I mean, you just talked about you were in Switzerland. So you guys' businesses are very successful. So when people say, well, people join our business because they want to, you just don't know who's the right person. And that you don't know who's going to be that person. It's never who you expect. Kristi and I had that conversation yesterday. You just don't know who's going to be that person and you guys are perfect examples, two levels down from me, but
Yeah, you didn't think we were gonna, yeah, you did not think we were gonna stick and stay at all.
Well, I know that I didn't know that I was worried because that you had what the things that you don't have to have. Y'all already had an income stream. You
Yeah,
did
we
not
didn't
have
need
to do
it.
this.
We
Didn't
didn't,
need
yeah,
it so bad.
we didn't
Didn't
need
have to have
it.
it to survive. Whereas for others, it's like this is their only hope. And that's why I still go back to why my success in this industry, most people don't know my whole story, was that I'd gone through bankruptcy. I had to have it. I couldn't quit. So I'm not sure I had the resilience you guys had because I didn't have that I didn't have an income stream of them. I mean, I had to go make something work and I didn't have an education to fall back on. So I needed to make a business work. But that's really important. So I really wanted people to catch that. So I can't believe it's already close to time. We're almost at 8 minutes. I do want you guys to say, so back to what we said, new persons, you said use a system of growth. I want you to also talk about setting those goals because you talked about that you did that. You wrote down your why. Would you reiterate some of that about what you talked about and how you think you stay focused on? Because you couldn't get that with John quitting and without wasn't making it happen with just your regular business.
Just because we had means and we were not hurting for money, we could make our bills and everything. We still had dreams, okay? And our dreams were to travel, and what our income paid for was for living, okay? And so I will tell you, the Switzerland trip, you guys, was paid by our business, not by what we made in our normal life. Every trip that we took, all we had just the money that we made was extra, okay? And I know, like, there's people in here like, man, I'd like to have that as extra. I just want to be able to live, okay? But the thing is you just got to flip it, and you're just like, okay, the first goal you need to do is pay rent, have to live, right? Okay, well, we can do that. We can do that, but it's then you start to dream, and so it's just the opposite of what we did. We wanted extra money to provide experiences for our kids and go travel and do those things, because what we paid for in life was just on our what we had, okay? And we had college and all that stuff going on with our kids. But the thing is that if you focus on the first goal, like I always do, like a smaller goal, okay? Because smaller goals are easier to achieve, and then you can check it off, right? And then you check, and then you make a little bit bigger, and then you make a massive goal, or maybe one or two massive goals. Then you start dream building for the year, and you start creating a year plan. And we do this. We take, like, I'm telling you, the first part of January isn't about Happy New Year for us. It's like, oh, we get to sit down and do our goals. You know why? Because guess what? We've seen them happen and come true. But if we are not taking that seriously on our, then we're never going to get to where we want to go. You have to have a map. I cannot drive to Nashville just like, hey, let me get in the car and kind of watch where I'm going. I have to get a map, right? Where's your map? What are you doing? You got to write it down. What's your first goal? You want to make $100 a week? Okay. You want to make five? You want to make 1,000? Well, we all want to make $1,000 a week. Okay. Wait, I remember when we were like, hey, let's think we could do 1,000. Okay. Well, we passed that. All right. So because we wrote it down, then when you pass the 2,000, then you pass the 3,000. So you just kind of you gotta keep going, change the goals as they happen, increase them. Yeah, you just stay humble and keep working, right?
Yeah. Well, you got to have those simple goals. What I talk about, activity goals. Guys, don't beat yourself up. Make activity goals and reward yourself for those activity goals, but set a real dream. I like that. I want you to set dreams. I want to
Yeah.
add something to what you said. You said you got to have a map to get yourself to Nashville. That's true. My daughter's gym was called Atlas, and so I had a map called Atlas. She didn't even know what it was maps. Like, why? Because the world changed. Guys, the system of growth is like a GPS. I don't know why I thought of that when you thought, but
That's
you told me
awesome.
that. I remember old paper maps that I had all sketched out. Guys, the system of growth means that you just plug in where you're going, and that phone's going to tell you take a left here, take a left in 1 mile. Okay, the system of growth, if you'll use that system of growth, you won't have to pull that map out and figure out how to get there and figure out which road are we on. The GPS or the system of growth will get you to that next goal. And that's really where people don't understand and what goals you have, and people get so frustrated. I'm like, guys, it's a business. Yes, there's going to be some people better than others, but there's same thing happens in life, isn't it? I mean, some people are better at whatever. Lots of people want to be the anchor man, but there's only one of
Takes
those.
a while to get it down too, because we're learning this business as well as everybody else. But you learn things along the way. But one of the things I do want to say, and I know we're running, we're probably close to time, but one of the things is just like there was a time we went to a Destin event. It was a few years. Actually, John wasn't with me. We would have to take turns because of the kids. But I remember I went to that event and I came home and I told John, I said, this is no longer about us. Because in the beginning of this, you're chasing a rank, you're chasing your, what you're going to make, right? You're chasing to get new people lined up on your team or customers, right? You're chasing a rank advance. You're chasing to achieve a goal for you, right? Okay, but then all of a sudden you realize it's so funny. I remember being at this time, like, I can't do this by myself. Like I was like this ding ding, like I gotta concentrate on everybody else. I can barely concentrate on myself. So I remember I came home. I was really touched at that meeting, and I came home and I said, because this is what events do, you guys. I came home and I said, John, this is no longer about us. And he's like, we were senior officers at that time. And I said, we have to only concentrate on our people. And we turned around and it was no longer about becoming president because president is after senior officer. It was no longer about being president. It was about helping everybody become officer, vice president, whatever their rankings were. It was about them achieving. And as soon as we shifted our direction onto everybody else except for us, is when the lights went off in my business and I was like, well, this is what you got to do. And I'd already been in for a while and it's just like, because we're constantly evolving, right? But as soon as I thought about everybody else, like, how am I going to help them become manager? How am I going to help them become, whatever they were going for was the ticket, because when they achieve, they will grow and they will want to grow, that they get what you've already learned, right? And as they start to get it, it's just like the biggest, it's like you're so proud of your kids when they achieve, right? And so just concentrate on everybody else except for you and you will get there.
That nugget right there is the one that everybody, that was difficult for me in the early stages. It was all about me. And if you're brand new, you've got to worry about your own business to get started.
Sure.
But as soon as you get a few team members, if you'll concentrate on helping them make money. And there was a guy that was, in this industry that was one of my mentors, used to tell me that all the time. You got to help them, and you got to find that person that wants it as bad as you, and then spend your time working with them.
And it could be the smallest thing too. It could be like, I remember we would like, okay, we're on the morning call. We're there. And I never even thought about inviting my team on there at that time. It was so young in that, like, Did you get on the call? Did you get this? Hey, we got a call Tuesday night. Are you reminding your team? I just was like assuming everybody was going to be like me and just, oh, there's a call. You need to be on it. No, you got to you got to remind them. You got to tell them. And I was just like, it seemed almost like I was helping kids tie their shoes. Okay. And so, but literally that's what you have to do. And so I still to this day remind everybody there's an IPA call. Some people are like, I'm not reminding my people there's an IPA call. They should know. Well, no, they're not all going to do that. But if you give them the loving reminder, maybe they'll show up for the IPA call. Maybe they'll show up for this call. You have to constantly be gathering your like a I don't know, a hen in a pen with her chicks. You got to be gathering your chicks together to bring them up strong.
That is so powerful. That is no question about it. Those are the things you have to do, plugging them in and letting them know that you're there to help them and they need you. But someone asked when he's going to be posted. Kristi, I know you post all of my recordings. Can you mind putting in the chat where I don't remember your YouTube page, but I know you put them on. We'll have them on more than one YouTube page. Everybody's wanting to know how to listen to this later, where the other recordings are. And we'll get those posted for you. Kristen, if you can do that for me. John and Kristi, thank you so much for being on. I am going to stop the recording because I got a couple of announcements.
Sure.